We are here for our weekly team meeting. I think this week Kelly has brought a student for us that she's going to share. So Kelly, do you want to start by sharing with us some of the strengths that you're seeing in the student?
Mm-hmm. So this student, some strengths looking at their latest concept check is that they're really doing a good job of using our strategies. They're identifying which strategies we need to use. So we've been working on positive and negative numbers and subtraction, and we're teaching keep, change, flip as a way to set up the problem and change it into an addition problem and solve from there. And he's doing a nice job of recognizing when he needs to use the strategies. We've also emphasized our cube strategies, where they need to be circling important numbers, underlining the question, boxing math action words, evaluating and showing their work. So he's identifying his strategies really nicely. That would be a strength right now.
Okay. What needs are you kind of seeing out of the student?
So what I'm seeing is that he's using the strategies, and that he's recognizing I need to keep, change, flip, or that he is boxing the correct math action word, but then he's not following through with the strategy as he's solving. So he's kind of set up the beginning of the strategy, but then isn't utilizing the strategy the correct way.
Okay.
So he's saying it but not doing it correctly.
Yes.
Okay. If you could set a goal for the kid, what would it kind of be? What would you like to see happen for him?
So I guess his concept checks are kind of middle of the road right now, and because he is utilizing the strategies really well, I would say that he could be like a 4.5 or 5 out of 5 type of kid because he's recognizing the strategies. So I would say to jump up into that high level of scores.
Okay. So just by making that connection is what you'd like to
Yeah.
see. Okay. All right. Kelly, can you do us a favor and kind of pass that around so we can all kind of
Yep.
take a look and just kind of see. And remember, as she's passing it, we're just kind of making observations and thinking through instructional strategies we may have at our disposal that we can share with her for a kid in a similar situation. Okay, so thinking about that, I'm just going to kind of summarize. So I heard you say he gets the strategies, but he doesn't put them into practice, correct?
He starts them and then doesn't finish
that.
the strategy.
Okay, so I don't know if there's anybody that wants to go first, but if you have any ideas for ways you've bridged that gap for students before where they're seeing the skill you're trying to share with them, but they're not quite implementing it correctly, what are some ways you've bridged that gap for them?
But I think of when we do reading in class, if they don't get something the first time, we have them reread it. So I don't know if this is like a strategy you can do here. It's like, okay, they go through and they do the problem, and then they look through it again a second time. Like, did I actually do this strategy right? And I know you have anchor charts all over the room. It's something they can just verify, like step by step. Did I do this correct? And maybe identify where they got it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Be something.
Okay.
One thing I was thinking, and I have the same student, and I see that similar with his writing, he'll start out and he'll kind of have an idea with the prompt or how to organize it, but then when he executes it, it's not following what his prompt or his organization was. Yes, yeah, right? So I'm wondering what if you sat down and just had him verbalize each step? Like, so verbalize the strategy he's using, and then the next step of how he's using that strategy, and to see if he is following through those steps in his head, or if he's just doing the strategy or setting it up and then jumping to the answer right away.
I'll say it's similar with me too. When I have kids like this, I just meet with them a little bit and just kind of go, and you probably might have done this already, and I just want to ask where was their thinking, so I know where to correct it, because they are going through the steps. He's obviously in his brain, that's where he thinks is the right answer, so I'd want to just talk, why is that the right answer for where you are? Like, is it...
How did you get to that point?
Right, how did you get to this point? And really go through the thought process piece of it so that you can find the root of it. Like, yes, you know the system, but why did you think... Like, I see your box was just over to the right and his was to the left. So, and I'm not a math person, but just to ask, why was your box here? And, or like even to have them verbalize, like, why should the box be here now that you know that's the right
this
answer?
part?
Yeah. Maybe.
That I just boxed that because I was showing him where he went off. He went off track.
Okay.
Because he had wrote the strategy, the KCF strategy, but then he didn't actually execute the strategy right below it. So I was just trying to point out that that's where we might have made our mistake. So.
Kelly, what are some things that you've tried already, or something that you've kind of been like, I wonder if I should try it, just a strategy that you're thinking about?
So when I was looking over these last night and grading them, and I noticed like his work is shown exactly how I want it to be shown, and we emphasize that with this class. I had them repeat after me that like, I will use the keep, change, flip strategy, and I will label my answer. And it was kind of fun. They were repeating all of that stuff to try and get it ingrained in their minds. So he did exactly what I needed. But I kind of had thought about, they do have their anchor chart book. So it has many anchor charts in it that they're allowed to look at when they're taking their concept checks. And so one thing I had kind of thought of that connects with Shad's is maybe having him write on there which anchor chart page are you looking at. So it's really forcing him to go through those pages and check them again. And then I had also thought about having him, I liked the idea with that verbalizing piece, because I think especially on this problem that I was just mentioning, if I had him verbalize, okay, you have 7 minus -2, and then he would say, I'm going to use keep, change, flip, and then ask him, what are you keeping, what are you changing, that he could see a little bit more clearly that he's not executing that strategy properly. So
I like that really specific verbalization too, because I think sometimes we say, okay, tell me what your thinking was, and they don't always know what their thinking was. So really to get them, okay, you said keep, change, flip. What am I keeping? What am I changing? And
what do you mean by
like
this?
very specific. I like that thought.
Yeah.
So.
And I was also kind of thinking of maybe implementing that verbalization strategy in our review too before our test. We have a test on Monday. So maybe in class saying, okay, do this problem. Now I want you to turn and talk to your partner, and I want you to tell them the steps you were taking. So maybe if more kids are doing that as well, that they can catch up to those pieces before they get to that test day.
This is just a sub observation, kind of not related, but that would feed well into as like a scaffold for when you get them doing the think aloud activity that you do later in the year. That would be a nice scaffold for that to get them there.
Yeah.
To start that now.
That's true.
Cool. So for the rest of us, because part of why we do this is because then we can get some takeaways for ourselves. Just think for a second if there's a piece of what we've done today, or if like you think, wow, I do, like Courtney, you said you know the student, you've seen similar. If there's a takeaway that you can go back and apply now, either for this student or other students that you have like him, or something that was kind of new learning for you.
Jump in right away.
Yeah, whoever wants to.
I mean, the idea of just verbalizing, just if something's not making sense in social studies, like how did you get to that idea? How did you get to that point? Just let me hear your thoughts, and then hopefully I can identify them where maybe thinking was misled and go from there. So I like that idea a lot.
And be very specific
Yes,
with the
exactly.
verbalization, because like what you said, like now what was the keep, what was the change?
Yep.
I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but
You are.
so they're specific in each step. I thought that was could be really powerful for a lot of our kids to see, and even for us to see the exact spot where they're struggling with that process. So
I really liked what you brought up for the anchor chart, like actually writing what page number, because we have some open note assessments sometimes too. And if they actually had to write where they found their answer on there, would add that layer so that I could find out maybe it wasn't in their notebook, or it wasn't copied correctly, or
Or they're
something
not
like that.
knowing how to utilize their notebooks.
Yes.
Exactly, yep.
So I was like, oh, I should do that for a lot of my kids.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that is cool. I'd like to see your guys' mini. I've heard a lot about them. The kids
The
talk
anchor
about
chart
them.
books?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Is it a little
I like
notebook,
them.
or is it?
We made the notebooks last year from paper, which was a ton of work. So then this year we were like, let's just have them buy a composition notebook
Yep.
and not make notebooks.
So you have 2 notebooks then?
So they have their composition notebook that stays in class.
Yep.
And it's just very brief, short mini reminders. And then their notes are in their binder that they take home, and that has more in-depth examples.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like
So
that's something
we
they can
kinda
keep
have
too for
both. Yeah,
as
well
long as they
actually
need.
Emily has some of her 7th graders she now has in her 8th grade class, and like 5 of them brought their anchor chart books from
Nice.
last year to her class.
awesome.
Yeah.
And they'll use them during
That's
homework
good.
assignments.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool.